Called to order the meeting of the North Reading School Committee for May 13th, 2024. I'd like to start the meeting with the first order of the agenda being reorganization. So, do we have any motions or recommendations for anyone who would like to nominate someone for the role of chair?
I'm going to go ahead and say I move that Mr. Buckley remain as chair.
Do we have a second? Second. All those.
Any other nominations?
It's a hard pass.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Mr. Buckley.
Thank you very much. All right. So actually, before we do the rest of them, I just want to recognize, first and foremost, I want to congratulate Mrs. Leanders and Mr. Sutherland for their victories and joining the school committee. And I do want to recognize Mr. McGowan, who's sitting over there. He came because we are going to accept the teacher's contract tonight. He was a school committee member along with Mr. Friedman that worked on that. And I do want to recognize he did 6 years of service. I don't think that anybody voted against Mr. McGowan. I think they were voting for other very worthy candidates, but I just want to recognize Mr. McGowan for all the years of service that he gave to us. So thank you very much. Okay, we're not going to do all of the reorganization, but we're going to just get the big ones out of the way first. So we do need to have a vice chair, so I would like to accept any motions for vice chair. Anybody want to nominate anybody for vice chair? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
You're interested in being vice chair?
Yes.
I would therefore then I'll nominate Jeff Friedman to be vice chair.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any other nominations for vice chair? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. We have the role of secretary and legislative representative, both. So why don't we can do secretary first. And so the role of secretary, well, again, it was in our packet. So anybody interested in this first and being the secretary?
So I'll do it.
Okay. So Mrs. Roloff would be interested. Would anybody like to make a nomination?
I nominate Noel Redloff.
Second. We have a motion, we have a second. Any other nominations? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous as well. And we have the role of legislative representative. And so you're interested in that one? Anybody want to make a nomination for Mrs. Leanders?
Yes, I will. I nominate Jen Leanders, for the position of legislative rep.
Second.
Second. Any other nominations? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous as well. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll do all the subcommittee assignments and everything else later on. We're going to move on quickly to public input. If there's anybody that would like to address the school committee. Mr. Simons, would you like to say your name and address for us?
Jeff Simons, 31 Hickory Lane. I want to take congratulations to our new school committee folks, and congratulations again here. Thank you for your service. Happy to be here at the Batch, addressing both the school committee and the community here at the Batch. I've been here in town since 1986, and have been involved with the schools since my son was about 3 years old and entered into the school system back at the little school, which was closed at the time, and then had to get reopened, and then eventually came here to the Batch and went all the way through school here in North Reading. And very shortly after my son Nate was involved in school, but somewhere between his age 3 and first grade, I started attending a lot of school committee meetings, and mostly to advocate for resources for special education, but also began to start to educate myself about the finances of the schools. And as time went along, we ended up needing to reopen the little school and renovate all of the schools and build a new high school and middle school. And so these are all the schools that you all enjoy here. This beautiful building, I don't know if you have older children here, these are your first, but we have a terrific school system here. It's been well-run for as long as I can remember. The buildings are top-notch, but we're in a real crisis period now, and I'm very, very concerned. I'm probably the most experienced person about running overrides in town. I've run the little school project. I helped with the Hood School. It took 4 tries, I think, maybe 5, to get this building finally done. And those were all town meeting votes and override votes. We've had a couple of budget override votes. And of course, the high school and the middle school project was a huge project. And we actually had to get that one approved twice because we fell short of money the first time and had to go back and ask for more. And that was not fun. But we did it. But it took a ton of people and a lot of time, and I just want to say that I'm very, very concerned right now looking at what's going on with the budget and the upcoming Prop 2.5 override vote that's due in about 4 weeks. And I'm so concerned because I've heard almost nothing about support for the override or organization to try to get the vote out to get this thing passed. And I know from experience that that takes weeks and weeks and weeks, if not months, of education, turnout, organization, rallying people together, getting that thing going, and I've heard basically not a peep. And we're 4 weeks away from that override election, and then 1 week later, 8 days later, it's going to go to the town vote to get the budget passed that will just keep the services we have now, okay? So that's a huge concern to me. So I think want to take the opportunity to address the Batch community, mostly Precinct 3. The Batch community has always been a great supporter of all the override votes over the years, both supplying a lot of volunteers to help get organized and also turning out to vote. But I want to just implore on all of you how important it is to get this started like yesterday. This is coming up really, really soon. There are a lot of rules that the schools can't promote or use school resources to promote a Prop 2.5 override vote. This has to be done by a ballot question committee, a separate committee. You have to kind of learn how to do that. If you want to crystallize the message, you want to boil it down to something really simple that people can understand, and then get it out there, and then get out the vote, turn that vote out, which is coming up, as I said, in about 4 weeks. So please, 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 folks here, your friends, your neighbors, people in other parts of town, the other schools. It's not just a school issue, of course, but usually the school community does an awfully good job of turning out and getting that vote out, both to town meeting and then to that other vote a week later. So this takes a lot of folks. You don't have to be the leader necessarily, but maybe you're going to be a neighborhood captain, you're good at communication, you're good at setting up babysitting so people, couples, everybody in the household can get to town meeting. There's so many jobs that need to get done to be able to get enough people to get out there. And the opposition is organized. I don't know if you paid attention to the vote the other day, the recent election, but where the over 55 community is situated, Precinct 2, some of the candidates that were in favor of the override got smoked, okay? And that's because there's a lot of organized opposition, and that makes it even more difficult. Between the sewer project that's been floating around and other issues for people who are objecting to the override think that there's too many administrators and too many nurses, or you've heard it all. There's just everyone's got their own ideas of why the schools are way over budget, and they don't know how to spend their money. There's so much fat that can be cut. You need to get yourselves educated and attend some of these budget hearings and so forth, that you understand how dire this is. And I've seen situations where we had to do really big cuts to budgets over the years, and it gets ugly. I got to tell you, you're looking at one group pitted against the other. You're looking at folks who advocate for special education fighting against the people that are looking for AP courses. We lost music instruction and band and chorus in the elementary schools, and that affected band for years. I mean, the size of the band and chorus went way, way down. It took years to recover from that. You just name whatever your favorite activity is for your kids, robotics, whatever it is. Everything's going to have to be on the table if we can't get this kind of our spending back up to the present level and keep it that way for the next 2 or 3 years. That's what the proposal is all about. So my message is to the community. School committee is very limited on what they can do about this. Is we need to get going on this like weeks ago, and it's really getting too late. So please, 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 try to find out what you can do, get yourselves organized, and we need to get moving on this ASAP. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Simon. Dr. Daly?
Just to address the topic, we did have a budget webinar, an overview of the override, what that would imply for the town. There was a webinar that's available. You can find the links. I've sent them out. They're also on the town's website. If you just go to the town website, it's a budget page. It's like everything about the budget. You can view that there. We had an in-person one last week. It was live streamed as well, but there's probably only about 15 people at that meeting. So we definitely need just the information to get out there. We will do additional presentations and webinars that talks about the town and the school's needs. But definitely check out those links to view, and we're happy to answer questions that we can answer at any time. So make sure everyone understands.
Thank you very much. Any other public comment? Okay, move on to the student report. I believe all the way down there, I see Piper Kerwin, Piper.
Hi, everybody. So for notable academic matters, it's the second week of AP exams in the high school. May 31st is the last day of school for seniors, and calculation day is Wednesday, May 15th, which is basically when seniors find out if they get exempt from their senior exams or not. For notable fine arts matters, the Stephen Sondheim Awards are coming up, and North Reading High School Maskers will be traveling this Friday as they're nominated for 12 awards. Notable athletic matters, girls tennis has an away game in Ipswich today, and boys tennis has a home game against Ipswich today. Track had a meet on Saturday, and JV Cals for track are on Wednesday, and then there's varsity on Friday. For other notable matters, there's a blood drive on Friday up at the high school, and Eco Team is doing a town cleanup on Sunday. And for my student work report, I want to show I'm in a class at the high school called Advanced Technical Theater, and it's basically where we get to design and build the entire set for Maskers, like musical and play production. And so now that all of those are over, something that we're working on is our teacher, Ms. Kane, gives us each a show, and we have to do basically everything that's from budget to design to building like little mini 3D models to that. And so I want to show you guys my research. For my musical is Tuck Everlasting, and so I know it's hard for you to see, but I have a full, extensive research on the time period and what people ate and drank and all of the history that came behind it, as well as budget and planning and everything to kind of design and build the show. So.
Excellent. So. Any questions? I will just say a couple of things. First, among those 12 nominations, I know that you were nominated individually for one of them, and you are the president of the Maskers, so congratulations to you personally for all the work that you put into that. And to kind of align it with Mr. Simon's comments, I mean, I think we've added a lot of additional services for some of these programs in the past few years, and so these are the things that are, make North Reading what they are. And I think that sports teams, Masters, Notorious, all the different, additional activities really is what makes it, what it is. And I don't want to go too far on you personally, but I'll just say, I mean, you mentioned the class that you're taking right now. I don't think that's offered at every public school. And I believe I saw from the Master's website that you're going to be majoring in this in college. Where are you going and what are you majoring in?
I'm going to Northeastern, and I'm majoring in interaction and theater design.
Yeah. So, I mean, these are programs that create opportunities for students and, what they want to do in the future, too. So, very important. So, thank you, Piper, and congratulations and good luck on the awards.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay. Thank you very much. Dr. Daly?
I just want to thank you for your service in this role for so many years, in addition to everything else you do. Coming out here on a Monday night, giving your time, sharing your experiences, and giving us that window into what's happening in the school is so important. So thank you, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Okay. And we will move on to, and as always, you can kick off if you have other responsibilities. Move on to the Batchelder School presentation. I believe Mr. Maloney is going to lead us through this. Maloney.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Mike Maloney, and I have the great fortune of being the principal of the Batchelder School. I'd like to welcome you all to our school tonight, especially our newest members of the school committee. I trust that you found us easily enough. You can read between the lines on that one. We almost have our 5 out of 5, right?
The only
Mr. Buckingham. I'm not going to speak long. I just want to say a few things, but I just want to thank the school committee for the opportunity tonight to showcase some of the great work, a small snippet of the great work that we do here at the Batch, that our teachers and our students do here at the Batch. I just try and get out of the way and let the smarter people do what they do so great. We have a number of creative, talented, and intelligent young people who are excited to show you their work and to show you, just a little snippet of a day here at the Batchelder School. We're so fortunate to be able to work with our students, your students, and we thank you for trusting us with them each and every day. I'd also like to thank the people that made tonight happen. My biggest contribution to this evening was just to ask the question, who'd like to present to the school committee? And we had a number of volunteers tonight, but we're top heavy. Tonight we have our 5th grade. We kind of rotate grades through the year, so we have our 5th grade very well represented. We have a bunch of anxious, just 1 minute, excited, I think, 5th graders, and I'm going to change the agenda up, the order up a little bit, because they're getting a little bit excited out in the lobby. So we have a list, and I believe their names are all on the agenda. I don't want to read them all, but we have a group led by Mrs. Morgan, who's our all-around music, chorus, theater, production teacher. She does everything. She's preparing the musical. We had the 1st grade show. She did a wonderful Veterans Day assembly that's excellent. We also have our 5th grade academic team back here, minus Miss Dodge, who's actually still recovering from a bad bout with pneumonia. But we have Miss Dow, Miss Still, and Mrs. Borat to support their students, who are going to showcase some of their student work, and they'll be here to support them and speak to the standards that are covered in that project. I would be remiss, I'm sorry, Ms. Dolk is here to show some student work. You can see it around the hall. We had our fine arts night just last week, and Mrs. Dill actually made a comment today at our faculty meeting about how great the building looks with all the student work that's displayed throughout. So Ms. Dolk is here to speak about that, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Ms. Lindsay. Mrs. Lindsay is our digital learning specialist who works collaboratively with all grade levels and content areas, and even our essentials teachers to really enhance student work in presentation. And our students are so very well prepared to go up to the middle school in that next level of digital learning. And our custodial staff. I know this is our CAF, but they turned it into our stage for this evening. So, without any further ado, and I am switching up the agenda a little bit to get our 5th grade musical students in here. So, Mrs. Morgan is here she'll speak a little bit about the musical that's upcoming, and I believe we're doing 2 numbers, Mrs. Morgan?
What was that?
2 numbers tonight?
Yes.
Okay. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. Each kid's over here. Each kid's over here. Teachers are over here. If you are talking, you can come right to the middle, okay? Hi everyone. I'm Christine Morgan, music teacher, and I also do the theater program here. As you know, we have a thriving theater program in North Reading, and I'm really excited. This is our first ever 5th grade only musical. We've done kind of all sorts of things. We've done 4th and 5th grade shows, we've done theater clubs, but this is the first time we're doing a 5th grade musical just at our own school, which will be really special because we'll get to perform for the whole school community. So I'm going to let the students introduce the show for you. Okay.
Hello everyone. We are all part of the Batchelder 5th grade musical. Sally sells seashells and you can too. We all auditioned for the show in January and have been rehearsing almost every day, once a week since.
There are 27 fifth graders in the cast and a group of 16 students working on building and painting the set with our art teacher, Ms. Doe. We are working on set pieces like a surf shack, lighthouse, dock, palm trees, and more.
This show is about Sally, a kid con artist who explodes onto a quiet beach town with a seashell selling scheme. For a fee, she trains the kids on how to sell seashells before the summer festival, but plans to skip town with their money before the big event. Sally becomes torn after meeting a local Tam who joins the program, eager to help her fail.
Tonight we are going to perform the opening of the show. You'll meet the surfers and beach kids as well as Tam and her sister Slater.
We hope you enjoy this sneak peek of Sally Sells Seashells.
Keep going.
And you can too. If you want to come see the full performance, we are performing on Thursday, June 6th at 7 p.m. and Saturday, June 8th at 11 a.m. in the Batchelder Gymnasium.
Okay, awesome. Starting position. You guys can just put those papers over on that table. Okay, and we're obviously missing some people and in a new state, so just bear with us, but they're going to be fantastic. Okay, ready? I'm going to come over here. Here we go.
Begins to rise, and you soon forget everything. It sounds like ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah. And you cannot feel it fine when you've got sand, surf, and sunshine. Whoa, sun comes up, sand gets warm, righteous waves are forgiven. Every day this is the norm when you're beach town living. And the breeze blows through my hair, not a care. Ooh, ah, seagulls singing our song. Ooh, ah, and the days are long. Yeah, this is where we belong. And you can't help feeling fine when you've got sand, surf, and sunshine. I'm telling you, this summer we're gonna have the best waves yet. I hope you're right, because it's barely splash right now. Just wait, brah.
So far, we've passed this challenge this summer by going to our fave hangout spots, trying 12 ice cream flavors, and inventing our language.
Wait, maybe one.
And how long did that all take? 30, 60 minutes?
How do people live like this? Sun gets hot, sun will burn, ocean waves always roaring. When will people ever learn? Beach town living is boring. And the sand gets caught in my hair. It's not fair. Day after day after day after day.
talk to you, but you left home so fast.
Wanted to watch the sun and the ocean begin the next song and their eternal dance, you know.
Totally. It's just, I heard Mom talking about since she and Dad separated.
Shh. Just keep it down, okay?
Right. Sorry. She was talking about how tight things have been.
Tight?
Like with money, like we may not be able to go to the same school next year.
What?
Yeah,
When did she say that?
last night. I know. I was upset too. But then I figured this gives us a great opportunity to start a small business. Because if we can raise our own tuition, it won't be an issue and Mom can relax. We can go to all our friends, making them aware of the services we offer.
Services?
Yeah, we'll call it Tama Slater's dog washing, carpet cleaning, and a little light bookkeeping service. I even made a sign.
But we don't know how to do any of those things.
On-the-job training is the best way to learn. Plus, it won't take us that long. I already have $200 saved up from allowances. Plus, all our friends will sign up, especially when they hear why we
Don't
need
tell
it.
them. I don't want them to know I need money.
Why does it matter?
Because it's summer. And summer is supposed to be the one time that everything's normal. Just me and the waves, nothing else. Can we just talk about it later?
Yeah. Okay.
But you know.
Sure.
Good luck with all that.
Thanks. If you change your mind, then.
Yeah, Dad, I'll let you know. See you soon.
Bye, sis. First day of summer, I should have known. Sitting with my friends off on their own. They're happy chilling by the beach. Not me. I've never been good at standing by. If I can help one, but I'll try. I'll grab for anything in reach. That's me. Yes, I know there are others out there smarter, but Mom always says when things get hard, work harder. So I'll clean your carpet, I'll clean your pet. I'm not afraid of a little sweat though. Behind on your butts, but don't be nervous. I'll clean them later. And dog washing, carpet cleaning, and a little light bookkeeping service. Hey, that's good. Here we go.
I think we should all take a bow. Yeah.
Yeah, do
Yeah.
you have any questions for Mrs. Morgan or any of our student performers?
Can you guys say the dates again?
Yes. Well, Sammy, that would be June 6th,
And
which
June
is a
8th.
Thursday at
June
7.
6th and June 8th at
No,
Yeah.
7th, 6th,
Yeah.
7th,
7th.
No,
I don't think we have it on the 7th.
Okay, June 6th is a Thursday at 7, and then June 8th is Saturday at 11.
And where is it?
We're doing it right in the gym. We're hiring out for lighting and sound, so it'll be really exciting. It's our first time doing that. And we are also going to get to an in-school performance on Friday, June 7th at like right away, 8:15 a.m. for all the students and teachers. So you're also welcome to come to our in-school one if you're
We're shipping
available.
in, is it 100 yards of sand?
Yeah. Sand, the ocean, it'll all be there.
So I have two questions. for you
Yeah.
guys. First, raise your hand if this is the first time you've ever done music theater. Oh, a lot of you got something different before. Okay.
Some of them did a theater club with me last year.
That's great, that's great. And then the second question, so I'm friends with somebody named Mrs. Lister at the middle school, if you've ever met her. She's told me to try to recruit fifth graders whenever I can, so how many of you guys are gonna go out for the middle school next year? Good. They need people, so go for it. Okay, you guys were awesome, great job.
if your families aren't here, we can go out into the hallway, okay?
I already have that. This one on put it in my phone.
So now we have Ms. Doe, who is our art teacher, and also this year, first year, right?
First year, yeah.
Ms. Doe has the role of visual arts co-curriculum chair. So actually, Ms. Doe coordinates with our other art teachers, collaborates with the middle school and the high school with our art standards, our visual art standards, and there's a lot of our art shows. So, Ms. Doe. She's less nervous this year, by the way.
Yes, not shaking this year, so that's good. So as you were saying, I teach elementary art here at the Batchelder School. I do one of the kindergarten classes in 1st through 5th grade, and I also took on the role of co-curriculum chair with Andy Dexter up at the high school. So I did a lot more planning, a lot more meetings this year, got to learn a whole lot more that I never would have thought about previous, which is kind of exciting. I helped and planned the show, the District Fine Arts Night with Andy Dexter, and it was up on the middle school and high school on Main Street, and we had all 5 of the schools had about 25 to 30 pieces of art there from all the different grade levels. Our goal of the show was to really just kind of showcase some of the artists throughout the district, along with kind of a lot of the choices that we're giving in our lessons and some of the really cool, diverse artists that we are learning about. Next slide. So this was one of the posters that a high school student made. And then the next couple of slides are just showing some of the projects that I brought up from the batch. I typically try and choose about like 1 student from each class at the batch, and I try and show maybe 3 to 4, maybe 5 projects per a grade level to really just showcase the different types of things that we're learning about. Here you see some 1st and 5th grade projects. I'll talk about a couple of them in the next slides. Next one. Some more as well. Next. A couple more. We brought up a couple of 3D pieces, which was awesome. And then next one, please. Last week on Tuesday, I had the Fine Arts Night here at the Batchelder, and we have, according to my math, I think 449 students.
Yes.
If I'm right, I don't know.
Give or take.
Give or take. So each one of those students would have 1 piece of artwork hanging up at Fine Arts Night, which goes into a lot of planning and organization, and I only messed up 2 kids' names the night of, so I'm pretty proud of that. Last year was 4. And the hallway in front of us, and then the one going up to the music and art room are currently covered in art from all of the students. And then I made sure in front of our hallway right here, there are projects from each grade level, so on your way out, please take a look at them. They have 1 or 2 examples of each project along with the artists that we were learning about and some things I was trying to hit on that lesson. Next slide, please. This was a new lesson I did with the 1st graders. We looked at some different landscape artists from Vincent van Gogh to Monet, to George, I forget who else, but I showed them like 5 or 6 different artists, and then I gave them the challenge of creating a landscape with paper, except we couldn't use scissors. So they had to rip everything, which kind of made a little bit more of a challenge to get some of those fun shapes. but it also took away that trying to be perfect, which is what all the little ones try and do, is purposely mimic other artists rather than like kind of thinking on their own, which is a fun skill to get them to learn. Next one. This was a new lesson I also did this year with Wayne Tebow, inspired sweets. So we learned how to draw different sweets, from cupcakes to cakes to ice cream cones, and how to give those some value and make them look 3D rather than just looking like a flat drawing. And then we made some mixed media with it by creating these fun textured backgrounds using oil pastels and different paper colors. And my last slide. And then this was another really cool lesson that we did, designing disco balls. And this was at the beginning of the year with the 5th graders. And the goal of this lesson was to learn about making tints, tones, and shades. So when you add white to a color, it gets lighter. Black, it gets darker. But that's a difficult concept at some point for the kids to learn, and this was kind of a fun way to make a really exciting looking piece of artwork. And that's it.
Any questions or comments? I'll just ask one question. So the display at the high school, I did see it, but how long is it up, and is it up during the day for students to see, or is it only?
It was up for about 3 weeks.
Okay.
And it was like on the right side. It just came down this past week.
Yeah. Okay. No, it was good. I mean, I'm glad they said what ages they were there, because some of that, like, honestly, 4th, 5th graders, and like, they were there. It's amazing. It's amazing the quality of work from even very young students there. So.
Thank you. I'm sure you could. If you had art every week, you would.
I mean, I will say that, you know, not just for the students, but just the community and the Fine Arts Night, it's something the kids look forward to, it's something the parents look forward to. It's just a great event. I mean, it takes a ton to put it together, so thank you. But, you know, it's just good overall for the community, and just know that it's very much appreciated.
Thank you.
I think it's my daughter's favorite school night of the year, is getting the grandparents around and showing the art, and then, you know, for those that go and do performances, I'm thinking, I mean, that's 4 weeks of preparation and ready for Fine Arts Night. So, what would you say, which project surprised you the most with what the students did versus what you were kind of planning to do? Like, every year my daughter goes at home, I was like, wow, I didn't think you could produce art of that. It's amazing some of the things at home in 3rd grade. So was there a project that stuck out to you?
I feel like a bunch of them do. It's a hard decision. I think the Wayne Tebow ones with the cupcakes and the different desserts did, because it was my first time doing that lesson, and it wasn't something that like I talked about with another art teacher and like, you know, we kind of planned together. It was more, oh, I like his paintings, what can we kind of make in the classroom? And each class that we worked on it, it kind of like took another turn, and I thought we spent like 3 or 4 weeks on it, and it ended up being a little bit longer, but all of their outcomes were phenomenal.
Great, excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm always impressed with the work products that all of our art teachers get out of our students. And it's no different here, but I think what's also great is a goal for Ms. Stoke over the last couple of years has been artists from around the world. So not only is it, you know, the technique and the product, it's also the learning that goes along with it. I know you didn't have any here tonight, but the fish.
The fish are fun.
The fish, I think we might have talked about it last year. It's how
Yeah.
fishermen in Japan, right?
Yeah, so it's Japanese
Right.
fish printmaking. So back before they had cameras and ways to like track what they were catching when they went on their boats, they would bring ink and they would rub it on the fish and print it on the boat so they could go home and brag about how big their fish was that they caught.
So it's just that the historical piece, the technique, and, you know, the disco balls going on here for a few weeks. That was pretty fun, right?
Yeah, those are fun to make.
So thank you, Ms. Stoke.
Thank you.
And lastly, we have our 5th grade academic team again. Minus Ms. Daw. She's sorry not to be here tonight, but she is still recovering from a pretty good bout with pneumonia. So Ms. Dow, Mrs. Dill, and Mrs. Borick, along with Mrs. Lindsay.
Hi, I'm Liz Dill. I'm 5th grade teacher and also the 3rd through 5th grade curriculum leader for ELA and social studies. And last year I heard about a new curriculum that was being developed by both the state DESE, Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, in conjunction with history scholars and teachers from across the Commonwealth. And I really wanted to be able to pilot it in my classroom this year. This is a curriculum called Investigating History. It's currently available for 5th through 7th grade classrooms, and it will be expanded to be piloted in classrooms in 3rd and 4th grades across the state next year. I know Assistant Superintendent Sean Killeen has applied for a grant for that piloting opportunity, so we're all keeping our fingers crossed on that one. But the program is described by Desi. It's a culturally responsive and inclusive curriculum that engages students in asking and answering authentic, interesting questions that drive toward deeper, richer understanding of the past and the present. The benefits for us is it is a free, online, open source curriculum, so that's been wonderful that we can access it without bringing any extra costs in. And Genevieve Dodge and I have been using it in our classroom with Fidelity this year, and we've seen just great discussions throughout kids' work on the daily. We've been able to see how all of the work ties into the standards-based report card that we've implemented here in the district, and students are really using those social studies practice standards to act like true historians, even at a young age. So we've been really encouraged by the changes we've seen. One of the projects that we did this year was we took the second unit, study of the American Revolution, and in that unit, students are asked to research individuals and groups that helped contribute to the goal of the colonies achieving independence from England. Students are also looking at English language arts standards of writing dialogue and taking the perspective of others. And when they researched these individuals, they were working on creating dialogues that imagined what would happen if some of these individuals met up after the war, and what would they say about their role in contributing to the overall goal of independence. So that was the jumping off point for this digital learning project that we're going to hear more about from my colleagues.
Hello, I'm Tina Borick. I'm a 5th grade teacher and the science curriculum leader here at the school. The standards drive our instruction and student learning with everything that we do. And a lot of these standards will overlap in all parts of the curriculum. When we thought about this project, we wanted to highlight a few of the standards. Here are some of them. And English language arts was a big part of it, the reading and the writing piece. We asked students to integrate the information from many types of media and print sources, primary sources, secondary sources. And after that, students were then drawing that information and using that evidence to think about an analysis to then write in the writing process so that they can have a claim or answer a question. And after doing that, we thought about the different standards that would apply in social studies to this project, and definitely the comparing and contrasting when we think about the leaders of this time of the Revolution, whether or not the patriots or loyalists were for and against independence here. And that contrast and that comparing was a big piece of that. When they did that, they started to identify that leader's point of view, which was very important. In cooperating the digital learning piece, there was a lot of collaboration and communication between the students and groups within the writing part, the reading as well, and using the digital tools. After that, the kids had to take a look at the rubric so that they understood what the objective was for the entire lesson, and they had an outlook of what the outcome should be. So they had that rubric from the beginning and sort of used it as a checklist. And the end product was to use their English language arts and their social studies skills to then use a programming program called Scratch, where there was some coding involved with that. And my colleague will talk more about that.
Hi everyone, I'm Lily Dow, also a 5th grade teacher. So Scratch seems like a really complicated program. But it's actually a wonderful program developed by MIT professors, completely free, and it's a coding program. Here at the Batch, students start coding in kindergarten, and over time it becomes a little bit more complex. In 3rd grade, they begin Scratch Junior, which is very similar to Scratch for 5th graders, but it's like a little less complex of a format. So as Tina and Liz mentioned, students each researched a key figure from the Revolutionary period. They used multiple sources, digital and print, and they created a script, pretending they were taking like the roles of these figures and creating a dialogue between the two of them. And Ms. Lindsay created a wonderful rubric where they had to include certain components in this project, including stating whether the figure was a loyalist or a patriot, their role in the revolution, as well as what they thought the main causes of the revolution were. And then students took all of that knowledge from social studies and ELA and applied it to this digital learning program called Scratch, which brought their story, their conversation to life. They had to animate this conversation using coding. So you're gonna see in a moment a couple of presentations of like the final product, but a lot went into it and a lot of complicated, this is the kind of the coding, the behind the scenes of this project. So every single dialogue, walking movement or background switch, they had to code and program and time correctly, so it was like a conversation happening in real life. And this program really just improves and promotes their sequential thinking, their creative problem solving, and it just really creates eagerness for technology and coding. So we are going to see first up Grace and Delaney's project from Mrs. Dill's class.
It's nice to finally meet up after all these years.
Hello, Mercedes and Lafayette. I agree. It's been too long.
First class student, I would like to thank you for helping the states win independence.
I hate to say this, but we all know I was the reason we won the war. I trained the military men to be the best that they could be.
I disagree. If I had donated $4.5 million to the United States, America wouldn't have the equipment or navy to fight against the British. Let's continue this conversation at the military base. All the cannons around us were paid for by the money I paid. The military used the cannons to defeat the British and gain the right to independence.
You're right. I was being selfish. I still think I was responsible for winning the war then.
Good. Now that we are no longer fighting, I think that we can agree that many other people helped too.
This is true. The delegates, boycotters, military, and home front supporters played a key role in winning the war.
I think you forgot about the ones who encouraged us to fight for our independence. Writers were very important to the team.
It was nice seeing you after so long, even though we didn't agree at the beginning. Thank you for showing me how we all work together to gain independence from Britain.
I enjoyed seeing you after all these years. You're welcome. Goodbye, old friends, until we meet again. One thing I liked about this project was I got to think about it from the characters' point of view and what they would say to each other if they were there, even though in real life they probably didn't talk to each other after the war. It helped me learn about the American Revolution because it helped me connect all the little bits we were learning about that time.
It was a little hard at first to do the coding when I first started, but then what we were learning in 4th grade came back to me. It definitely helped to have a partner, because if one of us was stuck or needed help to keep up the code, it helped. I liked how when doing the coding there were different ways and styles to design the animation, so it was fun to plan out creative parts. I also liked having a partner so it wasn't too overwhelming. It was interesting to research the characters and learn how they helped in the war, and that made it easy to write the dialogue.
All right, next up we have Chase and Zach's projects. Come on up.
Hello, I'm General Charles Cornwallis. I'm also a loyalist and led the British Army. I recognize you from the Revolutionary War. Disgusting that you are a loyalist, for I am George Washington and led the Continental Army. So of course I am a patriot. Now, what do you think the most important cause of the revolution was? The colonists need to pay for what they did with our tea. It threw the tea overboard into the harbor, costing us a lot of money. What do you think was the most important reason for the revolution? The king levied all of these taxes on the poor colonists. It was ridiculous. King George taxed us on items like paper goods, sugar, and tea. Speaking of tea, care to get some? Sure, let's go to the local tea shop. Why are you a patriot? I want my freedom and independence. The intolerable acts were too harsh. Now, why are you a loyalist? Well, I was born in London, so of course I love Britain and support King George. Can you tell me more about your role in the revolution, Mr. Washington? Well, I led the Continental Army. My great leadership helped the Patriots defeat the Redcoats and gain independence. Every army needs a great leader. Mr. Cornwallis, can you share more about how you played a role in the revolution? Like I said earlier, I was the leader of the Redcoats. Unfortunately, I am best known for my cowardly act, not showing up to the British surrender in NORCAM. Oh no, it's getting late. I must get back to my wife. It was nice talking to you, Charles. You too, George. Goodbye. My favorite part of creating this project was using Scratch. It may look overwhelming at first, but it became easy to use all the different blocks in Scratch to have the characters speak in the right order. In my free time, I edit videos at home, which helps me learn new technology easily. In the classroom, we learned all about different battles during the American Revolution and researched a key figure. Since I researched Charles Cornwallis, it was fun to include him in the Scratch project and take his point of view. It was fun to take the perspective of each character while creating this project. We had to think about the time period this took place to make sure it looked realistic for colonial times. It was challenging to make the dialogue show up for the right amount of time, but after watching it back, we figured out how to adjust the timing and it became easier. Now, are there any questions or comments from the school committee?
No questions, just a comment. I think it's amazing how you were able to combine social studies, digital learning, ELA, and I don't think you guys will ever forget about the American Revolution. It's a long time. And I just want to say how impressed I am with all four of you. I love how you were able to include some of your own vernacular while still being true to what you were talking about, and I think it's a really interesting perspective to do it after the course. So you guys did a wonderful, wonderful job.
Thank you.
I just want to say, echo that by saying, I can't imagine that you're ever going to forget what the American Revolution is about. I know that there are probably some kids that learn about it and within a week they forget everything because they just maybe read it in a textbook or talked about it. But having you kind of layer it in your brain in different ways and making the dialogue, and then how does Scratch work? Do you put in the code to make the little guys move and then the text come up? How does it work?
So there's different sections of different blocks. You move the blocks to the code, and you type in what you want them to say.
Wow, very impressive. But just great to see the multidisciplinary approach. You guys blew us away last year too, so. I should send my kids to this school. Thank you.
Yeah, pretending like the teachers and the principal aren't here, how many of you actually would want to do this again? Any of you? Yeah? That's great. Not everybody has to say yes. But just to see that you're how enthusiastic and how interested you all were. If any of you, I mean, it's still pretty young, if any of you at all even say yes, that's pretty impressive when you think about all of the things that go into it and all of our work. So thank you to the teachers, and great job, kids. Outstanding. Thank you.
Just when last summer when I actually got to be a student, play the role of a student, and do one of these lessons, I was so excited about it. I went right to Mr. Clean. I said, "Are we looking at this?" And he told me that Ms. Dill and others, fifth grade, were talking about piloting this. Seeing this piece, I never saw anything that brought in digital learning, all that. That's something we've added to make this better. So I think for you to understand, students, that not only are you doing this and learning it, being a part of a pilot, you're going to share this with other kids across the state as a new way to learn history. It's really exciting to be at the forefront of all that work. So great job to your teachers, all of them, and to you for really bringing this to everybody. It's a really fun way to learn history from a new perspective. So great job.
And I have two questions, one for the students, one for the teachers. First, for the students, which was harder, finding the conversation and drafting the conversation, or doing the technology and the Scratch part?
Probably the technology is pretty easy.
The conversation part, yeah. I mean, being able to take all that material, though. I mean, I remember studying with one of my sons on this, and taking all that material and getting it down to that very short conversation actually is really impressive, and it flowed very well. So I was wondering if you were going to say that was harder. So, and for the teachers, in the very beginning, you mentioned that this was curriculum for fifth through seventh grade that's being adapted down to third and fourth. Is it the same curriculum, or is it being expanded so that it would be third through seventh, and they're adding additional things on?
That's a great question. So each grade level focuses on the social studies standards for that grade level. So fifth grade, the social studies standards begin with the colonial period, go all the way through the Civil War and Reconstruction, and then add on civil rights and women's rights in the 20th century. So we're looking at 250 years of history in one school year for kids who really have very little history scholarship before that. And then in 6th and 7th grade, it's the world history curriculum that's broken up into the 2 years. So it's the same material that current 6th graders and 7th graders are learning, but in a very new way that's really focused on bringing in a lot more primary source material and getting kids to really think critically and use questioning techniques to get at the heart of what it means to be a historian. The third and fourth grade curriculum, the third grade curriculum will still address the history of Massachusetts from the colonial period through the Declaration, and then fourth grade focuses on the United States and immigration and westward expansion. So it will still align with the current 2018 social studies standards that DESI rewrote. And what DESI sort of realized is after rewriting these standards, teachers were in desperate need of new material in which to teach the standards. So this was their effort to try to provide curriculum material for teachers to make that alignment more fluid in the schools.
So we're very excited. We're hoping, I think that that's the next job of this, we're hoping to continue to expand it. It's great to see, and I just want to point out, when we, you don't have to go back too far, when we were teaching Scratch to 8th grade and 9th grade. As was mentioned earlier, we brought this back all the way to kindergarten. That's a huge part of our digital learning program that we invested in over the last few years. Ms. Lindsay's brought that down to do Scratch Junior and then to get into Scratch. So this is something that they've been doing for a long time, and it's so great to see it really coming together with the academics and making it all of these different pieces overlap. And just to shout out to the school and to really to the district for the time we spend on social studies and digital learning. A lot of places are finding it harder to fit that in with literacy and math and all these things. We've really found a way to continue to connect those literacy standards through social studies, so kids are getting exposed to really all those standards as Ms. Warwick went over. So great job on that from a curriculum design point. Great work. Thank you.
Great job, guys.
So I'm not going to say much more. I was going to just note quickly that actually Tina and Liz presented today at our faculty meeting about the science of reading and pushing that up into grades 3, 4, and 5. And correct me if I'm wrong, but talk about building knowledge and comprehension and using high-interest activities to build that foundational knowledge. And it's just something like this. I just make that connection real quick, that they're using technology and the ELA standards to create a fun project. I mean, that's just, so they have all that knowledge, so it's just going to be part of their language acquisition and their understanding and comprehension. So it's, Dr. Day talked about the curriculum design and getting everyone working together. It just, the work product shows and what the students are able to produce with the help of our educators who, in many cases are really the true leaders of the building, because they're doing that curriculum work to drive the success of our students. So I want to thank you all publicly for your work. I just need to get out of the way and let people do their jobs. But that's our presentation. Thank you for the time to show a little bit of what we do here. And like I said, it's my pleasure and good fortune to lead a building of wonderful educators and even more wonderful students. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
If I could, Mr. Logan, very helpful. You've done a great job here in your role, stepping in, bringing so much of your experience and knowledge of what happens in middle school, motivating the kids. You've got great relationships with your kids. When I walk around the building, just seeing how they light up when you walk into a room, and they get so excited. You've got great rapport with your teachers. You really stepped in and done a great job. So thank you for all that you do.
Thank you. Appreciate those kind words.
Congratulations to your daughter on her nomination as well.
Thank
you. So, and I said it well. I was like, I know exactly whose daughter that is. I like that. Yeah, we take a 2-minute break. Yeah. 2-minute break. Okay, so moving on, we're going to talk to, moving on here, we got to accept the North Reading, or approve the North Reading Education Association contract. And we're joined by past committee member, Mr. McGowan, as well, and Mr. Friedman here. These were the two guys that did the contract. So I'll let you guys sort of talk a little bit about how it went and what it is, and then sadly, Rich, you can't make the motion, but Jeff can make the motion to approve that.
I can present it.
Well, with that being said, would you like to talk about it?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Rich McGowan, 46 Chestnut Street. So we, first of all, I think we all would agree, Dr. Daly and Mr. Friedman agree that we thank the NREA and Barbara Mantier, sorry, for all the great work that they did on this contract. It was a very collegial effort. You know, unlike so many districts around the state, we did not have some of the stress and strife that we've seen. And you know, it's a contract unlike any contract we've seen in the 20 or 25 years since I've been in North Reading. But that's a reflection more of the economic times that we're in right now, and not anything else. I think it's a fair market contract. It keeps us where we want to be in terms of being market competitive, so that we can continue to hire some of these great educators. Budget issues aside, but you know that the salaries are competitive. And I think the other major thing that I would just say about this contract, you know, the headline numbers are always the things people pay attention to, but there's a couple of very important pieces of this contract that really help keep down the hidden costs of contracts. And the most important one, I think, is the work we did on parental leave. You know, we see many districts where the unions are really demanding that they have the equal leave to the Family Leave Act that Massachusetts passed a few years ago. But that is such a huge burden on districts because of the time, the money spent to cover that. And so while we recognize the desire of obviously any parent to take time off when they have a child, you know, we work very hard to try to find a middle ground there, and that will hopefully reduce those expenses of hiring substitutes to cover for those leaves. So I think we've got to a really good place. And I urge you all to consider it, and hopefully it'll take us through the next 3 years. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGowan.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Yeah, let me just echo that contracts are about results, but they're also about process. And the process was outstanding on all sides. It was absolutely collaborative. Communication was good. And when you've got two groups that want to make a deal and are cordial and smart and really understand what the goal is, a deal's going to happen, and it's going to happen in a way that favors everybody in the room. And I think that's what we achieved. If you want, I can go through some of what's in here. It's a 3-year contract. It runs through 2027. And I'm just going to read through, and everything that's here is also posted so people can read it. The cost of living increases across those years are 5% per year. And again, there's more detail behind that. The school year for educators is also increased by 1 day to 184 days. The length of day has also, educators will, and secondary educators will now work 7 hours a day, so it actually has increased the number of hours per day for some of our educators, and now all educators across the district are working the same number of hours. There's also a step increase or an adjustment for step 12. Again, it gets into the details of how these contracts work in terms of the steps. The Wellness Bank, which is what Rich is referring to, I think this was an outstanding and creative solution that both sides really took a long, hard look at, and I think it worked for everybody. I think it works for the town, both short and long term, and I think it all works equally well to accomplish the goals of expanding the concept of paid time off for the educators that are working in the district. And then there was a lot of language update, and there were a lot of details, including part-time educators. There's also a more predictable and defined increases for coaching staff. I mean, the whole thing. One of the things we were trying to achieve, not just as a fair contract, but also one that's a little more deterministic, so we can actually budget a little bit more. So a lot of people focus on what some of these numbers are. The other piece of it is we wanted to have something that we could plan around and budget around for the next few years in a fairly defined and deterministic way. We think we've achieved that with this contract. And let me just pay special thanks and tribute to Mr. McGowan. This isn't the only contract he was working on in the last year. He went right from one contract to another. The previous contract negotiation lasted the better part of 8 months to a year. We went right into this. It's a lot of time and a lot of effort, so thank you. But also thank you to Dr. Daly and his staff. Just an outstanding job of understanding the issues, the people involved, and what makes this contract and the negotiation a lot easier is the relationship that our administration has with the educators. And that's not by accident. This happens over time, and it's not just that people are getting into a room and don't know each other. Everybody knows each other. If the sides are trying to make a deal, that's one thing. It's another thing to do it in a way that's respectful and honest and open and transparent, and that's what we had. And again, not by accident. It's because that's how really the landscape of the school and the district is designed. So thank you very much. And again, Mr. Colleen, Mr. Connolly, everybody involved. Everybody involved was fantastic. So thank you.
And I would also add a shout out to Morgan Sora's Human Resource
Absolutely.
Director.
Sorry, yes.
What an important hire for the district last year, a year and a half ago, whatever it was. Again, sort of that reorganization, taking a position from here and putting it, and just making a really critical hire that supports Mr. Connolly and supports these contract negotiations.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
And the only thing that I would just add, looking at the terms of the contract, just so people understand, most of the time, inflation's pretty static over periods of time, and I think we were very fortunate that we came to an agreement in 2021 for fiscal years 2022 through 24, and then we saw a lot of inflation in the last few years, and so we just happened to be at the end of a period where inflation was about 17% over the previous 3 years. And now we have to negotiate the contract. Mr. Connolly does an excellent job every year when a contract begins by looking objectively at comparable districts and seeing where we're at. We're not trying to be the highest payer in the area. If you look at the numbers, our average class size is slightly higher than the state. Our average amount spent per student, which includes salaries, is a little bit less than the state average. And so we're trying to give a wonderful education to our students, but also still be affordable in doing that. And so I think this contract achieves those goals, and I appreciate the work of everybody that worked on it. So thank you guys. Dr. Daly?
I could just add again to thank Mr. McGowan for your work for well over a year. The overlap with paras, teachers, our team that prepares, Morgan Sorias done an outstanding job, Michael Connolly, Mr. Colleen, Mr. Friedman, our whole team. We talked about coming up with something that was sustainable, right? We wanted to have something that was fair, that recognized the great work that our educators do, but that we could support ideas and concepts like parental leave, but make it something sustainable in tough budget times especially. And I think we kept that in mind throughout. Our educators are outstanding. They come here, they're attracted to work here, and they stay, right? And they build relationships at our schools, with our students, with our families. And so we want a contract that reflects their great work and their great efforts and the great results that we're seeing. So we feel that we got there, and I want to thank Barb Mantier and the NREA for a very, very thoughtful process.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the contract?
Motion to approve the educator's contract running through 2027.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0 unanimous. Thank you, everyone. Okay, we're going to go back and finish the reorganization and then talk about all the work we're going to be doing in the next year or so. So we need to go through first, we have to figure out the subcommittee assignments. And so, as you guys probably can tell, I'm not that official, I can do it through me and everything, but I think we have an open discussion about what the assignments are. Dr. Daly gave us what current assignments are. That does not mean that they cannot change. It does not mean that somebody can't take new things on or change. So it's not set in stone. The only thing that I believe is set in stone would be finance planning team consists of the chair and the vice chair. So myself and Mr. Friedman will do those ones. Currently, CIPC has Jeff on there, which is through his term, but we could change that if we need to, and so I think that's something else we can look at. Dr. Daly?
Just for the recording secretary, I have all of this I'm writing down in a shared doc, so all the positions.
Okay, so looking through this, I'll say up front, so the policy subcommittee, we have 2 people, but typically they're the newest members that take that, just so you can familiarize yourself with the policies. Athletic subcommittee has nobody on it anymore. Evaluation subcommittee, finance planning team is set. Budget and finance subcommittee, I think we're going to eliminate because the finance planning team is does that most of the time anyways. Does anybody have any objection to not having that?
No objection.
Okay, because then we also get into trickier things if we're talking, if it's not the same 2 people, you get into trickier situations if you're talking about things amongst 3 people or 4 people separately. Fine Arts Subcommittee, NORCAM Advisory Board, Substance Abuse Coalition. Are you appointed for that one too? Or is that just?
Yeah, I mean, I attend the meetings.
But I mean, did you have to get sworn in to be on that or not?
No.
Okay.
No.
Special Education Parent Advisory Council. CIPC is the one that you are sworn in for. I'm sworn in on the Secondary School Building Committee. And then there's a Facilities Master Plan Committee, which also then has a fire station component to it as well. There's a separate committee for that. And Mr. McGowan was the representative for that. So we'll need somebody for that. So why don't we kind of just go through, I guess, and my goal is that we kind of talk, it can be an open discussion, and then we kind of pencil people in that we can cross out if we need to kind of make it even.
What does the NORCAM Advisory Board do?
The NORCAM, so from what I don't know if this is Donald's listening, I'm going to guess she's not, but I will say, I think when I was on there, I went to all those meetings. I think I've heard from a few people they haven't seen her since, and so there is a meeting that they have once a month just talking about NORCAM. It's peripheral to what we do, but sometimes we do talk about different coverage issues or things. It's just nice to know what's sort of going on because NORCAM does promote and publicize our meetings, and so it's good to kind of see what's going on there and meet some of the people. I think Rob is a good guy over there, and so they run a nice meeting. And when we go through each of these, we can kind of talk about when they meet as well, because I don't know for schedules. I'm not sure what everybody's schedules are. Well, actually, just thinking about that. I mean, Noelle, what kind of meetings? Are there any times that you can't particularly make, or ones that are better times?
It's typically I'm pretty flexible, except for the one subcommittee I want to stay on is the fine arts, and that's a difficult time for me, but I can make it work.
Okay.
Evenings aren't great,
Okay.
but
Okay.
I'm flexible.
Jeff?
I'm generally pretty flexible in terms of my hours. When I can't do something, it's because I'm traveling or just completely out of pocket. That's
Having the ability to do Zoom or Google Meet is nice. I can attend the Substance Abuse remotely.
CIPC typically meets mornings, and it varies depending on the time of year. So it sort of starts slow and then gathers steam. But it's pretty predictable, and people are generally willing to work around everybody else's schedules. So.
Tim, what's your schedule usually like? flexible, or do you have?
With the advent of Zoom, anything is possible.
Okay. Well, some of these, we'll go through them. Some of them are in-person meetings too, and so we'll talk about that, but I don't know, like, if you go into work every day, if you work from home.
I travel,
okay,
and I'm in midweek, but I can be flexible.
And Jen, what's your?
But even in Bucharest, you're available.
Right, you make it happen.
Yeah.
Also flexible. I go into Boston a couple days a week, but it's different every
You
week.
can flex, okay. So policy subcommittee is whenever you guys want it to be, whoever's on the policy subcommittee. Basically, you just meet with Dr. Daly, and it can be scheduled around other things, and sometimes if you're on other ones, they might do them back to back, so you only have one time. My suggestion would be the new guys on there, if you guys are open to it, unless you really want to stay on.
No, I think they would love it.
I hope you're ready for Hawaiian shirt Mondays.
There you go.
Because
okay.
You should see the policies we made in Finance Committee, so get ready.
There you go. Well, I'm going to pencil in Jen and Tim on that one.
Sure.
So, athletic subcommittee.
What does that entail?
So the athletic subcommittee brings together a lot of different groups just to talk about the athletic programs. Dr. Daly, you want to give more than that?
We typically meet midday during the school day around noon. We review upcoming, programs that are coming for the upcoming seasons. Talk about there's a lot of financial updates and reports on the sports, whether we're going to have waivers for calling up 8th graders. Enough to field the team, a lot about facilities, a lot about turf, a lot about maintenance of fields, a lot about new projects, proposals. We meet as a large group 4 to 6 times a year.
Is there a possibility of Zoom with those midday meetings?
There is, yeah.
I can do that one.
So if you're interested, you have an interest in that one. Anybody else interested in that athletic subcommittee? I can do pretty much whatever people want.
I'd like to do one athletic or fine arts, but I'm somewhat indifferent as to which.
I would, if it was me or you, I would probably prefer fine arts just because my kids are all in the fine arts, and I don't think any of my kids are going to do sports at the school, unfortunately, because I think they're going to overlap. So you might have more soccer players in the school in the future. So would you want to maybe be in that one then, Tim?
Yeah.
So evaluation subcommittee, something that I'll be honest, I'm not good at, and I don't really want to do this. So Noelle and Jeff have been on it so far. You guys?
I'm fine staying on it.
I am as well.
Okay.
Jeff seems to do all
It's the one reason I'm happy that I'm not on the committee anymore, not having to do evaluations.
I know. Finance planning team is set. Budget and finance is gone. Fine arts subcommittee.
Put yourself on there.
If anybody else didn't want to, yeah.
We got theater kids. Put them on there.
We do. Our kids are all in everything together now. So, NORCAM advisory board. This is a once a month, like 7 o'clock meeting for like 45 minutes, and sometimes they bake cookies and bring them. So it's a pretty easy.
Where is it? Is it?
It's at the NORCAM office. It's right over by the library.
Oh, I can do that. That's close to my house.
It's right
Is
over
there
by
really
there.
cookies?
Sometimes there's cookies. Sometimes there's cookies.
Did someone say cookies?
Yeah, cookies. Yeah, sure.
Can I Zoom? Or do I
No,
have to?
cookies.
They're very
They actually are probably watching, but the average age in the room is about 72. So I don't think.
All right, hopefully not. I'll confirm it works with my schedule.
More cookies from now on.
I don't even actually like cookies. If you have cookies and crackers, all over it.
And that's more of an advisory, not advisory, you're just sort of there. as
There,
an observer.
right,
Yeah. So, Substance Abuse Coalition. Do you like that? You want to say that? And then just look at this.
If
You're on
there's
a couple now.
somebody else who wants to be on it, I could go either way. Like if anyone has that as an interest area.
What does that entail?
So they have meetings once a month, and they.
Who's on it?
Okay, so it's reps from. It's a lot of folks are on it. So we have like from the police department, we have Amy Luckowitz. Is it Luckowitz?
Yeah.
Luckowitz, I always mispronounce it. Who is like the who runs the meetings? There's some citizen representatives. So it's actually very interesting because you sort of get a rundown of like what's going on with substance abuse use in the community, perspective from law enforcement, perspective from just community members who are involved. They also do some collection of data around use that they share throughout that. Dr. Daly's on it. Maybe if I'm missing anything key there.
It's a part of the CIT umbrella, the community impact team, the youth substance abuse program. We just hired some coordinators, recovery coaches who are now part of the meetings. We have our school adjustment counselors and some folks from PPS there as well. Sometimes our health teachers join just to talk about what we're doing for education.
And when are the meetings?
They're typically around 10
a.m.
on Mondays.
Yeah.
And they are,
And it's a, I
they have
usually
been
do.
remote
Okay.
for a while.
I could do that.
Although when they get together, the brownies are really good.
So put Jen in there.
That's actually really bad.
Sorry.
Put Jen in there. Special Education Parent Advisory Council. This is not an official meeting. This is more, it's been different things in the past, but I've tried to, attend some of the events and, I think be a liaison if the CPAC has any questions. So again, I'm happy to stay on it if people want. If anybody else is interested, that's fine too. But I'm happy to stay on. I mean, I have a child with special needs, and I don't mind being part of it. So
Sounds good.
I guess I'll stay on. So I'm going to go to the middle one in the bottom there. Secondary School Building Committee, pretty much there's nothing more to do, and so I'm appointed for that, so I think I probably have to stay on that one.
I've noticed that site hasn't changed in a long time.
Yeah, nothing, it was really waiting for the litigation to be completed, and the money still hasn't really been put where it's ultimately going to be, but I think when that's done, it will be dissolved, so I don't think there's any need for anybody else there right now, so I'm not really going to count that as one for me, but, and that just leaves Capital Improvement Planning Committee and Facilities Master Plan Committee. My only thought here would be, I think it's good for the committee to meet other people in town and meet other boards and have working relationships with the select board, finance committee, and some of the other boards in town. So through finance planning team, Jeff and I will be working with the finance committee and the select board. Last year, when Rich and I were on there, Jeff was on the CIPC, which is a group that gets together and looks at all the various projects and money that's allocated to capital. My thought would be is if Jen or Tim wanted to do that, and then similarly the Facilities Master Plan Committee and the fire station, that's another group that gets together. A lot of different people pull together to have a plan, and like the two big things they're working on right now are going to be the fire station is going to be more immediate, and then an intergenerational community center.
If you wanted to describe it a little more, so the Facilities Master Plan Committee was formed so that to look at all the town buildings, including the fire station, town hall, which a renovation is is going to be happening. The historical buildings in town, Damon Tavern, the meeting house where the senior center is now. And also look at the potential of building an intergenerational center. So there's a lot of, if you're interested in that kind of stuff, that's sort of where their talk is. And as he said, that committee also became the fire station building committee as they work on this renovation project for the fire station. So it's not terribly intensive, and it can be Zoom. At least everything I've seen is Zoom.
I mean, some of the people that run that have, like, they've met Jeff and I, they're like, oh, why don't you guys do it? I'm like, well, the goal is for other people to be do too, and kind of split up a little bit. And so, I mean, whatever you guys want, I mean, I'm happy to do some, I'm sure Jeff would, but I wanted to open up for you guys if you wanted something too. And I guess my thought coming in, just knowing both of you a little bit, is I think for the facilities master plan, like the communication background, like there's gonna be a lot of things that have to be presented to the public in the future, and your skills might be very beneficial there if you want to do it there, but again, completely up to you guys. But if Tim or Jen wanted to do either of those ones, I would want to kind of maybe open it up to you guys first.
So just to chime in on CPIC, it's all Zoom. I don't think we've ever met in person. I mean, there does come a point where it's every week as you get closer to sort of budget season, but it's certainly manageable. And everybody's pretty flexible.
When do they meet usually?
It varies. It's just at every meeting you sort of get together and say, okay, when can everybody do the next meeting?
Okay.
So a lot of mornings then?
Pardon?
A lot of mornings?
Sorry?
Mornings.
Yeah, all mornings. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. So, any thoughts between you guys? Or did you guys have interest in either of those, or?
My preference, CIPC.
Yeah.
Is the facilities management, is that usually mornings or is that?
Facilities management, I think, is.
It tends to be actually early evenings.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, Zoom is usually available.
Yeah, I think they said like 5 o'clock, I think, Abby.
Sometimes she'll have quick ones at 5, or if there's more to detail, it might be a little bit later. Depending. Also, a lot of times when we're talking about actual projects, the architects are involved, so they tend to keep.
Yeah. And some of these, if you guys can't ever make a meeting too, like at some of these ones, if you need somebody, like I know there was a facilities master plan meeting that they wanted someone from the school committee there, and I think Rich was not able to make it, so I went in his place. We could always cover it well. So if you're interested, if you're not interested or don't have the time, that's fine as well. So
I can do that one, yeah.
would you be interested in facilities
Yeah.
master plan?
It is an appointed position that the select board actually will vote to appoint once they receive your
right. So yeah. So on both of these, so Jeff's going to have to get off of CIPC, and Tim will have to get on and have to be sworn in for that one. Facilities master plan, same thing. I think Jen will have to be appointed and sworn in eventually. So if I do that, I
have to
think
officially resign.
I don't know. Figure it out. But I think we're fairly even. I think just Jeff is slacking with doing 2 things now, I think.
I'll do more.
I don't think there's more to be done. I
think we should acknowledge that finance planning team is going to take an
And
awful
you
lot
also
of time.
shoulder quite a lot of the evaluations.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good. Do people feel comfortable with that? I'll read through it if it is. So.
Yeah, that's fine.
So policy subcommittee would be Jen and Tim. Athletic subcommittee would be Jen and Tim. So that's one where you guys could, if you knew there was athletic subcommittee, you could always do a policy one right at the same time. Evaluation subcommittee will remain Noel and Jeff. Finance planning team will be myself and Jeff. We're getting rid of the budget and finance subcommittee. Fine arts subcommittee will be Noel and myself. NORCAM will be Noel. Substance Abuse Coalition will be Jen. CPAC Advisory Council will be me. Capital Improvement Planning Committee will be Tim. Secondary School Building Committee remains me. And Facilities Master Plan Committee will be Jen. Okay, so if that sounds good, I would appreciate a motion to accept the subcommittee assignments as stated.
Move to approve the subcommittee assignments as previously stated.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
All right. Moving along.
Now, school committee goals, I just asked for this to be put on there because some of these goals, this is not our goals for the next year. These are the goals that continue through the end of this year. And some of these are budgetary things that have to be done at the end of the year. So these usually go through into the summer, and then over the summer we'll have a meeting where we talk about what our goals for the next year will be. But since we have 2 members that are no longer on here, I just want to really quickly go through and see what is done. Some of these are done, and so there's nothing more to be done, but a few of them still have other things, and it might be nice to add new people onto that. So if I may just kind of run through that. On leadership and governance, we had 2 goals. First one was community will engage in 1 professional development presentation or session. We haven't done that yet.
Rich and I knocked that one out of the park.
Rich, we haven't done that in the last couple of years. Noelle is on it still. Rich was on it. If we're going to complete it, now I don't know if we're going to have time to do this year anyways, to be honest with you.
I would like to review this, I really would.
Okay, so it might be nice for one of us to help out on this. And this actually reminds me about the Chart the Course too. Like that, if you go to Chart the Course, that might be, you could maybe even, if somebody's on there with Noelle, somebody could even maybe talk to somebody about the idea and say like, oh, would you be interested? So I'm looking at Tim and Jen to see if either of you guys would be interested in working on this one with Noelle. Yeah.
I'll also add, we are most likely going to be presenting at the NAC conference, the joint conference in November again.
Okay.
Mr. McGowan has presented on a board there, so I'd love to have someone from North Reading possibly with us.
Okay.
So just put that there.
I recall that being a very difficult time of year. It's like
Oh, yeah.
On the other hand, it's a nice weekend or midweek break in hiatus.
Yeah. So does anybody have an interest? Well, how about this? We can go through and see the ones that we're looking for and then kind of go from there like we did last time. The next one is school committee will review the school committee policies and structures in place related to school safety and support. That was Jeff and Diana. I don't know that there's anything more to do
Yeah,
on
there's
this
not
one.
really much more to do.
I think we've looked at that. I don't think there's anything immediate that we need to do, so I don't know that we need to assign anything to that right now.
The only overlap with this is the CPIC and the security systems that we're going in.
Yeah, we prioritized some of that for our capital budget this year. So under financial, so there's one thing under leadership and governance. Under financial and asset management, the first one was looking at full-day kindergarten, and I think it's Jeff and I, and we've done what we can do there. It's in the budget still. School committee will explore new opportunities for solar. Jeff's been working on that. He's the only one assigned there. School committee will develop strategies to preserve positions and supports that were implemented in part with ESSER funding. Again, this is just a budgetary thing. I don't think there's more we can do at this point in time, so I don't know that we have to reassign that. I think we've put it in there. We're pushing for an override. I don't think there's more to do there. School committee will review the impact on NRPS families of the current structure and schedule for extracurricular and athletic activities. Current structure and schedule for, I think he's looking at the fees. It doesn't say the word fees in here, but that was me and Rich, and then the following one was Diane and I looking at the bus fees. The bus fees, I think, is something that after we have to look at what the fee is going to be for next year, whether or not the override passes or not. And I think everybody saw in the presentation, we were proposing potentially a higher bus fee. I don't know if we want to propose higher extracurricular activity fees this year, or Dr. Daly, would it be too late to do it? I mean, when would we do fee increases anyways, typically?
For the most part, some of those things have already gone.
So for next year, though? For school?
We're talking about some of it for next year, some of the things like busing.
I don't know if there's anything we need to do here specifically. I'm just worried, like, if the override doesn't pass, we're gonna, I don't think it's for this year. I think for next year, we should keep this on because we're gonna have to get down to, like, do we want to increase fees to keep programs, or do we want to cut programs to balance budgets? But I don't know that there's anything immediate that has to be done in the next couple of months.
If it doesn't pass, all these under finance, a lot of these are going to have to be flat out.
Yeah. And I don't think, I think that can be next year, so I don't think there's anything particular there. Educational programs, Rich was on steps of NRPS 2025. I don't think there's anything this year for that one. MTSS, Noelle and Diana were on there. I don't know if you need anybody help with anything for MTSS or not.
I mean, I think that we're sort of working through, that's been addressed in the school presentations that we've had. It's been really, I mean, it's been really interesting for sure.
We do have on here a goal about outdoor time. And I know there is stuff going on with that right now. And that was Noelle and Diana. And I guess somebody at the end of the table might be interested in jumping with that one with Noelle. So maybe we'll put Jen with you on that one. You want her help?
Of course, yeah.
You and I were working on mental health. This is probably one that I don't think we have to do it this year, but Jen might be a better person on this one. District exploring the topic of social media and device usage. Actually, I guess I thought that was more about community relations. I don't think there's anything there. And then the last one's family and community relations. School committee will work with the North Reading CPAC, that was me. And then family university, that was Noelle and Rich, but what's happened is kind of happened there. So I think just the recess one is still going on a lot in the spring right now, so if Jen jumps on that one. And then the professional development, Tim, do you have any desire to see if we can get something in the next couple months? Maybe put Tim there. And yeah, so I don't think we need any official votes on this. These are what our goals were, but we just had the last couple of years, we just had 1 or 2 people assigned to each of the goals to make sure that we're doing them. So if Tim, you can help with that one, and Jen, you help with the other one?
Sure.
Good there.
And we revisit these in around July, August, is it? Yeah.
And we'll kind of create our own goals. So think about the goals. I know sustainability came up with some of the candidate nights. I think that's what we can talk about. And yeah, we'll go through them all later on. Okay. Anything else on this? We good? Routine matters. So for the minutes, we need somebody to read the minutes. The one thing I will say to the new members, different committee members have taken different approaches on this. Most of us take the approach that if you're not at a meeting, you don't usually vote on it, you abstain from the vote. I can't remember who was the one that doesn't do that, but I think one person would vote on it anyways. But you can do whatever you want to do, but we need somebody to read the minutes and kind of be consistent. I think we said the secretary should do it.
Yeah.
So
Not
no one
all
else
committees
can
do that.
With that?
Not all committees do that.
Do what, abstain?
Abstain.
I know. Again, I'm not saying it's a written rule, but like, that's what some people have done before. I mean, personally, I would just say if I'm not at a meeting and I read the minutes, I can't say whether they were accurate or not. And so I don't want to approve them if they weren't accurate and I wasn't there.
That would be the preferable, the abstaining.
Yes, that's what I would say, because otherwise you're approving minutes and you weren't even there, so you don't know if that was a reflection of what happened in the meeting or not. So, and I'm saying that because the first meeting, neither of you guys were at, so just kind of bring it up. So, Noelle, you want to read the minutes?
Sure. I move to approve the meeting minutes, the open session of the school committee for April 22nd as written.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstention.
2 people abstain. Okay, so passes 3-0. Thank you very much. Budget update.
None at this time.
The only question I'm going to say is, do we need maybe what, as part of the warrant article, we don't have to reapprove the budget with new members, but we should probably have the current members vote to recommend the warrant article eventually. Is that the way it would work? Probably, I would imagine. Yes. We don't have to re-vote the budget that was already voted on by a previous school committee. Consistency. Okay. Staffing, Dr. Daly. That Michael?
Yes.
Hi, Mr. Connolly.
Michael, how are you?
I'm good.
Very good. Quick staffing update. We have several new coaches. This is sort of something that's not always done, but I'm sharing all of the coaches who are been hired for the spring season. It's actually a policy thing that's in there. So Eric Oshmanwalt for varsity baseball, Ed Blum, assistant varsity baseball, Matthew DeVecchia, JV baseball, Matthew Cooney, freshman baseball, Nicole Zimmerman, varsity softball, Paul Sonia, assistant softball, Valerie Michella, JV softball, Tom Ledoux, varsity boys track, Andrew Falenga, assistant boys track, Joe Davis, assistant boys track, Zvi Pitsopoulos, varsity girls track, Kristen McClellan, assistant girls track, Josh Rocco, assistant girls track, Mark Bizignano, boys tennis coach, Matthew DeBerry, girls tennis coach, Chuck Campabasso, varsity boys lacrosse, Bill Beardsley, assistant varsity boys lacrosse, Jeffrey Lane, JV boys lacrosse, Matthew Costello, varsity girls lacrosse, Alexander Pepe, assistant varsity girls lacrosse, and Michaela Allen, JV girls lacrosse coach.
Dr. Daly, I just have one quick question. How does it work in North Reading? Do teachers or educators get preference with hiring over a non-teacher, or is it best candidate for the position? I'm just curious how they get hired.
Yeah, it's best candidate for the position. It's within the teacher's contract, all these positions. Certainly the relationships that teachers have and the ability to be in the school, in the classroom, working with students is certainly seen as an advantage. We have, this is something that I asked our HR person, Morgan Swords, we keep singing her praises. And she's made a clear notation here for you just to see who's also an internal staff person. And, I think that's, just a great little bit of information to pass on as well. You can see a good number of our folks here, and they come from many different ranks as well, which is great. You have different positions within the district that are working with us. So.
I have one staffing question. This might not be the appropriate place to ask it, but I'm wondering, we had chatted about it last meeting and the meeting before. Has there been any more luck with the trainer for athletics?
We are still working on a solution. These are the athletic subcommittee topics for sure.
Sorry.
No. It does come up a lot. Just to be clear, so we do have the position posted. There's not been candidates in there. We're continuing to look for creative solutions, working with other districts, working in multiple areas. It's certainly not for lack of the value and the importance or for budget. This is something we're committed to doing, and we've invested more money in that position than we ever have before, and we're still looking for candidates.
Is the goal for that, two questions. Number one, is it to have just an hourly rate to cover certain things, or would it be like an internal position that's there for whatever?
It's posted as a position that we would own. So for years, we subcontracted, and they hired someone that worked for us. That arrangement was not, there were no new candidates.
Yeah.
And so we have been scrambling to make sure all the required sports have been filled, which they have.
Yeah.
But we really want to have our own person on site, same person, consistent person. And so since, for this entire year, this job has been posted.
Yeah.
Since we first found out that we were not going to have a candidate from the arrangement with the subcontract.
Well, then the follow-up question would be, if we have an internal person, would that mean we could expand beyond just what the minimum requirements are? So there's certain sports they have to go to, and we're covering those ones.
Yes.
Is that all we will be covering, or will we be able to potentially add on additional ones that are not required?
Right. We always cover many different events. It's harder to do that when you're contracting out. It's also difficult to, a lot of the competitions are the same exact times. You can't always have one person in multiple places, but there are certain MIAA sports where it's required. And some of our students, Mr. Buckley and I met with some of our students who are looking at this saying, well, who decides which sports are considered to be the most in need of a trainer? So there are answers to that. It was a great civics project question, honestly. And it was great working with her on that team. But just to, again, we are committed to having this position. We've looked at the market, we've increased this, and we're continuing to work with multiple districts, even looking at some college arrangements, trying to find candidates that are there. But for example, Merrimack is looking for someone too. Like there's a need for these positions out there. I think that some things have changed within that field, and it's similar to psychology and counseling. There's so much to be made in private practice to do this work on our side. There's so much of a need for physical therapy and trainers that it's become something very different. So we've already invested more in this through attrition within our budget. So.
And who doesn't want to work only nights and weekends?
I know.
Okay. Bids and donations. Would somebody like to take on reading this?
Sure.
Reading it?
I move that the school committee vote to accept with gratitude the donation in the amount of $8,831.60 from the Hood Parent Association to help fund the playground swings at the Hood School.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
And make a poor rich.
I'll be watching for years and think that not as good as me.
And you'd be right. We also have a couple of grants. Do those need to be?
There are more donations too.
There are more donations.
Scott's looking at me like I know.
No, look at it.
Over one, Jeff, over one.
Oh yeah, you got a bunch of them.
I move that the school committee vote to accept with gratitude a donation in the amount of $50 from Ferdinand Bellavance to support the high school girls softball team at the high school.
Second.
Motion, we have a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous?
You're right, there are a bunch. I move that the school committee vote to accept with gratitude a donation in the amount of $885 from the Batchelder Parent Organization to help fund the kindergarten field trip transportation to the Stone Zoo.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
I move that the school committee vote to accept with gratitude a donation in the amount of $1,025 from the Batchelder Parent Organization to help fund the grade 1 field trip for Charlotte's Web.
Second.
Motion, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
I move that the school committee vote to accept with gratitude a donation in the amount of $469 from the Batchelder Parent Organization to help fund the grade 1 field trip to Drumlin Farm.
Second.
Motion, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Couldn't we have combined some of these? I vote that the school committee vote to accept with gratitude a sand and stone material in kind donation valued at $6,942.84 from Benevento Sand and Stone for the playground project at the hood school.
Second.
And for discussion, I'll just
Second.
say this was the correction of the one from the hood school presentation.
I was also thinking you're not a townie because you don't know how to say Benevento.
No, I don't.
But I could never do this rule. I can't pronounce any names, as people know from previous school committee members that work here. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
But now that I've heard you say it.
Yeah.
I vote that the school committee vote to accept with gratitude a donation in the amount of $250 from John and Kim Crowley to be used toward the middle school gift account.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
I move that the school committee vote to accept with gratitude a donation in the amount of $2,500 from the North Reading Hornet Hall of Fame to be used toward volleyball equipment at the high school.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
There you go.
That it?
All done.
Okay. Grants, we just have the one that's already been accepted, but Dr. Daly, do you want to speak to this very quickly?
Sure. So there was a press release that was done with Representative Jones and Senator Tarr speaking to our diversification grant in the amount of $91,286. So we accepted it at the last meeting. There was a second one that came in today that is from the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education for the FY25 Vacation Acceleration Academies grant. So this is summer accelerated learning for students in the amount of $27,000. Mr. Clean worked hard on this one. So that would be a vote to accept.
Oh, you want to accept it now?
Yeah.
It's in there, okay. Want to do the motion on the grant now?
Yeah, move to accept the grant for the financial year 2025 Vacation Acceleration Academies grant in the amount of $27,000.
Second.
We have a motion with a second. Any discussion? I just thank Mr. Clean and just point out when people are talking about the administrators and that we have too many administrators. I'll just say that not only are we under the state average, we are also having our administrators fill out grants and help get some of the needed funds for the district by extra work that might be outside of their
To the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars.
normal scope of employment. So
I was going to say the same thing. Outstanding.
We totaled it up more over $200,000 between the two of us this year, not counting time.
That's great.
So we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous? And we have the overnight trip request. This is just here because sometimes these get to us later than publication, so we have it as a standing matter now, just in case somebody needs to get approval, but it looks like there's none now. Subcommittee updates, finance planning, keep that on March 29th and April 26th, and May 3rd, and May 10th. It's been very fun. I think you guys all know what we've been talking about override, so. There is no meeting this week, Jeff. There is no meeting this week, but I think pretty much every Friday morning you should have on your calendar 8:15 a.m.
That's fine.
And we are in person at Town Hall, so.
That's fine.
Capital Planning Improvement Committee. The Capital Improvement Planning Committee, yes.
Yes, you see it.
Yeah.
It's always wrong on this one. The Capital Improvement Planning Committee. On May 6th, Mr. Friedman?
Yeah, we met last week, pretty much the final meeting before the town meeting, mostly to discuss some additional funds that were brought in to refund and to bring whole some of the requests, including one for the school. But it was really a pretty short meeting, just to say some of the things that we had done partial cuts to, we could bring back to their full request.
So is that like the technology is going to go back to full?
I think it was full. It may have been mostly full.
Mr. Connolly?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they did technology that was originally cut to 105,000. They are going to fund the full request at 200,000. They found an additional $95,000. That's going to be happening in free cash. So that's good news, certainly for the school department, that we'll be able to do the full phase 1 of that project.
Excellent. And I'll just say, so Mr. Sutherland is now on the CIPC. I'll just say that Mr. Freeman got everything on our list this year for us. So that is the bar that we're expecting going forward. And actually,
we'll go for everything plus one. Even though you needed it.
Ironically, when we originally discussed this, what Mr. Conley had suggested, I actually said we should suggest even more. And we did put more on there, and all of them got funded. And so, just saying, the bar is quite high for this assignment now. So
you don't ask, you don't get.
Okay, athletics subcommittee. So these next two, do they meet in your conference room, Dr. Daly?
Yep, but there is a Zoom option if people.
Okay, so the athletics subcommittee, for the people that are on the athletics subcommittee now, or the athletics subcommittee is going to be at noon on May 21st. So hopefully one of you can make it. And then fine arts subcommittee is at the same day at 3:15 p.m., which now I have to put on my calendar. So, administrative report, Dr. Daly.
Thank you. Just wanted to share a few updates. I don't know. I think it's just Michael watching at home, so. Just wanted to share our family university updates that we talked about earlier. We have Sarah Clifford, who is a behavior analyst, will be presenting on Tuesday, May 14th at 6:30 p.m., so tomorrow evening. Anyone that's interested will sign up. We also have Dr. Elizabeth Englander, who's coming back to work with us again on May 22nd at 6:30 p.m. She's doing an extension of her program, The Healthier New Normal, but she's going to tie this into all the work that we've been doing with our cell phone grant about social media and the Surgeon General's report about the effects of social media on youth mental health. It's May 22nd at 6:30. And then on June 8th from 9 to 12, we have a community session on the topics of diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging. This is a part of our hate bias incidents grant. And we will be talking, empowering families and students with skills and tools requisite to build safe space communities through deeper understanding of how unconscious bias, toxic speech, and other microaggressions can impact the student's experience and sense of belonging. So we do have some staff members who are participating in that training as well. Our staff members are also doing a training on May 24th. So that's just for staff, and then on June 8th, it's the community, including our school staff. So we hope to have even more folks participating, and that's a registration also. And then I wanted to share, we do have an Eagle project that's being proposed that we'll see on an upcoming agenda. But just as an update, as we approved Chris Vitale's project, there is a great photograph here of the buddy bench that was installed at the Batchelder School. And this was done, it was approved at our school committee meeting on October 23rd. And this is a photograph that everyone can see of the buddy bench. You can see it on your way out right at the playground. So I thought that was a great update to share. That just happened, I think, 2 weekends ago.
Thank you. That's great. Okay, any correspondence?
None at this time.
Okay, future business, we have a meeting on May 20th at the Little School. June 10th, and that's 6:30. June 10th, we have town meeting at 6:45, and so we're going to meet at 6:45, and then town meeting's going to probably start around 8:30, and everybody gets registered in. Hopefully, everyone's going to be there. Probably be excited to do that as well.
Everyone hire your
June 17th.
Yeah, and then June 17th.
I'm suggesting that we have to make that.
Okay. Oh yeah, we have to, because we were going to do a meeting at 5 o'clock on before town meeting, but I think a few of us that are actively involved in the override stuff are going to probably be meeting beforehand. So we're going to not have that meeting then, so we'll have a meeting on June 17th at 6:30 p.m. And when will we get the calendar for future meetings?
We'll do that either at the 20th or at the 17th. Maybe
Okay.
the 20th. That's around the time we did it last year.
Okay, so we'll do that so that we can mark our calendars off. If there's nothing else, favorite motion on that? Motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion, we have a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you, everyone.